Good morning, I'm your host MX2, and in this video we'll be going over the UV process for this particular asset from the Evangelion elevator. So, I've been dealing with some weird computer problems. It has completely ruined my ability to love life and enjoy life, but we are going to just get in here. So, if you saw the Stellar video, I made a particular config for that gun. What we'll do is we'll add a UV config. Basically, I put that configuration from the Stellar gun under UV. So if you've been following that video, the same configuration that we made in that video, I'm just adding it to the lore of the tool itself. So that way you'll see it in the next update. So this particular update, all it is, all this particular config is us going in, selecting loops, marking seam, unmarking, UV unwrap and display, and then of course selecting and deselecting on the fly for whenever we need to deal with particular islands individually. So let's jump in and give it a try, and we'll just try to jump through this stuff. So the first thing I want to do is under UV project, if we shift click it, we see that we can actually assign a material to this, but we can't see it. So we need to go over to layout, and it's not the material we need to see, we actually need to see the material that was added with the UV project modifier. And there's a series of empties here as well that we're just not seeing yet. Here we go. So there's a triplanar controller, and we just want to bring this up so that we can Shift G, select it and its children, and we're going to get rid of this. And I just sent up the order to have that made into something special. So let's Alt M, and we can assign that particular material, which as we see is material 1. And of course, Blender is going to give me the business this morning because life is never easy, is it? Let's jump over to layout 2 or layout 1 where we had it good, and let's continue our journey. So we Alt V and we turn on solid texture toggle. We now have our UV for this particular item. So let us go in, and we did it in the wrong order, of course. Usually we want to assign the material after we've already looked at beautiful UVs. So let's just jump in here. Only thing we have at our disposal is grid fill in this particular layout. Because we're able to have different configs in each layout at this time until we finally just nip that, it's just an interesting way to work, worth experimenting for in this entry time. Because one day those things will have their decisions made and therefore won't be a thing anymore. So we are just looking at this, and really it's like, do we need these underfaces? I'm going to go on a limb and say no. No, we don't need them because it's just going to impact our textual density. So let us select a loop, and this particular setup is made for UVing objects of the converted variety, meaning that if you try to use this with a Ingon mesh, it isn't as fun a time as I'm showing it here. So we'll unwrap, present our UV display, and from here we want to assign a material. So in object mode, we can't assign the material just like that. So it looks like for this particular file, we have some differences. So we are going to grab this material. We're going to go under our material assign, because we kind of hacked it in there, didn't we? And now the material is called that. So we want to rename the material to UV. So let's just Alt M. We'll assign it, but we'll call it UV. And what we really want to do is probably have this to be the apply only the first material or the first material in the list, which is what we're doing, but it'll be easier to be accurate and deal with UV. So we want to apply the mirror modifier, and let's unwrap this once more like so, and we can go ahead and collapse that so we're back in tour mode. Beautiful. And we got something like that, which is what I would call unacceptable. How do we want to handle this? We're going to select the inside and view its display. And we want only this object. And let's try that. I'm just looking at imagining, is Blender always going to be kind of weird with UVs, or is that just my whole life? Or is that going to be also the extended life of Blender and the extended, never mind, I'm just thinking out loud here. But that's something a little bit straighter, I can live with that. We can go over to the UV editing window, and I believe we've set Control P to be pack, which Blender's like, no pack for you, bro. So let's pack our islands. We'll find our shortcut of Control P, just because Control P is just so classic for me of just being able to pack islands. I mean, I don't know if I like it rotating the islands, but you know, we're going to come back and have some fun whenever it comes to UV. So let's look at our solid texture toggle, and that object is done. So now we take this object, and how do we want to handle this? I'm going to apply to mirror, and we are going to get rid of any faces that are not needed. We'll just deselect this, and we'll X delete faces, and you know, this thing for the most part looks pretty good, except keep in mind my UV logic is my own UV logic. I'm not pretending to be a UV master. There's a tool called that, and you see in ZBrush, and it's probably better than me, but I'm going to try my best. And also, it is very easy and fun to just leave a tutorial off at a part that is daunting. It is, which is why we want to attempt to get in here and do it the hard way, to basically show people what it takes to get all the way to the finish line, so they know exactly what they're signing up for. So for this one, we have the array. I'm going to just loop, and you know, we will place a loop like so, and we can just use circle select to reduce that selection to something that we actually accept. And I'm looking at the clock intensely because afterwards I'll have to go and begin my Monday, meaning nothing good. You know, if I haven't conveyed it yet, I absolutely hate exercising more than anything in my life. I don't even mean that in a I love exercising way. I mean that as in like a lot of my most regrettable decisions are the ones that are supposed to help me in life. But of course, I'm a lazy, good for nothing. So I am, and I'm saying that as a person who knows me. Like, I'm just not going to let it happen anymore to myself to be lazy and equivalently good for nothing. Like, we must struggle to be useful in this society, or else we will all be standing on the sidelines wondering what happened to us, what happened to everything. Surely we're all not just here to sit and wait on the sidelines. So we are just unwrapping, and I think the computer just told me a USB device has malfunctioned, which is the beginning of my nightmares whenever it comes to modeling and getting complaints. We're just thinking out loud. I'm sorry to guys. Just me thinking. I just buy myself 0.2 seconds to think. Like, okay, I'm about to die. Something like that. And let's see what part is giving us the most egregious. And it's this one. And it's like, what's happening to you? It's giving you such a hard time. You know, I want to clip it all the way around every piece, but that just seems so excessive. Let's apply to mirror, and let's just realistically see what we have here. We'll unwrap, display. And this one is the worst. This one is like my least favorite piece right now. So let's hide everything except this particular piece and just focus on what makes this look so rootin' tootin' bad. Let's unwrap again, and we see that it tends to come around. Is what we're getting with the other system. So we want to definitely use one over the other. But UV unwrapping in Blender can be a bit strange. It's a struggle. And also I'm looking at this thinking we probably could put a loop on all of these and then have it unfold. I mean, I'm almost curious as to what would happen if we did this, even though I know that the answer is nothing good. Like, I tend to approach UVing relatively simple just because it's more sane for me to backtrace where I failed at. And also, I'm gonna have to remirror if this is what works. We'll unwrap, display, and we see that, you know, having so many seams just like that will not work. Just won't. So let us unmark. We select our boundary. We remark just to make sure, and then we can unwrap UV display again, just see what we're looking at, and then we can put lines as we're dealing with it to get it to be reasonable. So now that doesn't look very unreasonable compared to what we were looking at before. We'll symmetrize it to the other side just to simplify it, and let us unwrap and then display, and this is what we're getting for this particular part. So I don't like what we just did there or the result that we got, but I do like that we survived. And sometimes that's important. So we survived that part for now. Not my favorite UVing, but when you're converting a mesh and then you're UVing a converted mesh, it is not easy. All right, so let us go ahead and grab these sides, and we grab these edges. We do the same thing here, and we get rid of those faces just because they're going to be so unimportant. And let's double check. We don't have, let's make sure that we're not showing the shrinking of the mesh. All right, let's unwrap, UV display, and we get something like that, and we'll assign that first material in our list. Still thinking about how that should just be assigned material 1, not so explicit as it is right now. Look at me talking like a coder. All right. Hey, I'm proud of myself. I try Monday to Friday to sound like I know what I'm doing. Failing horribly. So for this, we will, I guess we can unwrap one and see what we got. And we do not like what we saw there. And also, I don't like seeing subdivision edit mode. Let's mark that seam, mark that seam. And let's, I'm actually looking at this thinking, mark seam, that will unwrap so very nice. And that means that this part doesn't need to be so dramatic. So now we get something just like that, and we look at our UV, and you know, that just speaks to me better. It doesn't speak to me as good as applying all these arrays and then unwrap, UV display, and we get something like that. And then, you know, with that being cleaned up, we are good to go. I expect UVs to cause a great deal of shrinkage, which will be an inconvenience. You know, also depending on the needs of the mesh, right? We can tell ourselves, hey, we don't need to deal with the bottom parts of the meshes during the conversion process, but, and I'm probably right. I mean, in my world, we'll select everything and unwrap and display the UVs, and you know, we could get it better. We could mess with the tips and, you know, start breaking it, which I'm so OCD, I always do that even though it's not needed. So let us just take this in local, and these are all real, so that means we don't want subdivision. We want that as a modifier, so we'll convert it to mesh, then we'll put a modifier on it, and that means that I can go in here. Okay, so I did set up multiple select loops. I was worried that I didn't, and I was going to look stupid on video, which is why I wasn't doing it. I was like, I'm about to detour to be showing that, but no, I dealt with that before in the previous video. In the description, I failed to state how mad I am at Camtasia. Like, Camtasia is probably the worst, like the worst. And you know what's crazy is when a company corners you, and the market, they're like, hey, they'll pay whatever price we say. And in this case, no. I love you, Camtasia, but you did some crazy stuff yesterday. Like, basically, I had a project that became corrupted, and Camtasia's like, yeah, I can't mess with it. My computer was frozen for hours, guys. Like, hours. You know how stupid it feels to stand in front of a frozen computer for hours? Like, I was just sitting there just losing my mind, guys. Like, if you're thinking, oh, MX losing his mind, yeah, it's because this freaking computer, y'all. But I love that joke, by the way. That one and the suicide variant. Look, guys, I'll never commit suicide, but if I do, it'll be because of this computer. That's just funny to me. I'm sorry. I just have a terrible sense of humor. Y'all shouldn't watch me, and y'all especially shouldn't learn humor from me. Like, I'm the worst type of comedy. I teach y'all a form of comedy that died in the 1960s. In fact, a lot of videos I don't unlist, the videos that I have removed, it's just because I feel that they're just not up to comedic snuff. I'm always working on it, trying to get better material and things like that, running it by my woman, having her reject me, which her rejection is its own form of material. I love it. Let's see what we got here. And, that's a winner. Chicken dinner to me. Let's grab this. And what we don't want is what's happening at the bottom. And we could make this the cleanup / UV thing. Like, we clean it up, we UV it. Is that good enough for UVs? It's only one part, so no, these are terrible UVs. So let us try something like so. And a lot of these parts, I don't even remember modeling them because I was just kind of in a mental state. I was modeling and just zoned out and just thinking out loud, and terrible, guys. Like, it's a terrible way to work, but we're just having some fun here, never intending to ever disparage anyone at all, unless you deserve it. And those are people I know personally, and also myself. No one deserves disparagement more than me. So I have no room to be cruel to people, guys. It's hard enough to be human. But yeah, this computer just, wow, it gave me such problems. And it made me so mad. I solved it. And you're going to see what solving it means. Like, obviously, solving it means putting a computer under this computer to basically do the work of this computer whenever it fails, because that's how my brain works. If a computer fails, you don't replace the computer, but you can't put another computer on top of it. So, in case you're curious, I'm probably going to get something called the Asus NUC. I've always been a fan of NUC, and we're just looking at this. Does it look like there's doubles in there? It's like crazy in there. All right, let's get back in here. But yeah, Asus NUC is a computer I've had in the past. Not the Asus variant. I was previously buying the Intel version. I was really close to just buying a AMD computer and building one, but I cannot risk the possibility of that being worse than hole-in-the-wall Intel now, which Intel has proven themselves to be a hole-in-the-wall company. I know. I feel bad saying this, guys. Like, I feel bad calling Intel a hole-in-the-wall company, but man, they were holding back the floodgates with leaks. And that is a very weird place to be in if you're a processor company, because, like, look, I went through so many weird issues with Intel. Like, I went through their Spectre meltdown, and when I say went through, my friends were arguing with me about it, and I would say, shut up, you're just talking smack, bro. And they're like, no, Intel is legit corrupt, dog. And I'm just not trying to hear that, because who's trying to hear that, really? But now it's in the news. And their stock price is reflecting it, which means that, someone's seen something. Let's try to look at this by itself. And I don't even know if what I'm looking at is right. We'll have to figure out something whenever it comes to far away zoom stuff. I've noticed it just as an irregularity. Every cut teaches me. If I'm not learning from every cut a context clue or something about what to resolve with the tool, then I'm failing at my job, guys. And I try not to fail. I'll fail giving y'all good tutorials. I'll fail at being a good person, but I will not fail this tool. All right. Just like Oliver Queen, you can't fail this city. I mean, you can. Also, I can't fail this kitty. And then I hold up a picture of my cat. I can't fail her. Just playing. She doesn't care. All she cares is the fancy feast must flow. All right. So, if you're ever wondering about how to please my cat, give her a can of food. She'll tell you all about how pleased she is. Like, she is such a bum, guys. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry to be calling my cat a bum, but my cat is very much so a bum. And I see it now. How do you not notice when your cat's a bum, No, I'm kidding. I'm just talking smack because the cat's not in here, but that cat will be in here very fast. Let's, Alright, so we're looking at that, and that one is that one, so that works, and this one is not going to work because, that's a level of complexity that the world ain't ready for. So, actually, let's try it again. We'll select this loop, and mark the seam, select all, unwrap, and so many things I'm having to do, like select all to perform. I'm just thinking out loud in my head. Don't want to say it out loud because I'll set unrealistic expectations to you guys. But in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this has to be a macro. We have to have a macro. Like, we need a 5-level macro grabber to be able to make this work. Like, to make it work, like, it already works right now. It could always work better. And that's something I'm always thinking about. How can it be better? How can it be better? Because, look, the moment you accept what you see as the final solution, your job is over. And my job is never over. Let's alright, this song is a banger. I'm still over here rating AI music. Like, my goal is to listen to every song like 500 times to really, really, really understand it. Like, I am more than an AI music fan. I'm an AI musicologist. Like I said, if they ever had a lawsuit, all they have to do is talk to me, and I'd be like, hey, let me show you this Coheed and Cambria style chank right here, or this one that reminds me of this song by this band. Like, and those are things I want to show on videos, is how it reminds me of so much of the past. Like, when I listen to some of these songs, like the whole world will hate it, but eventually it will. And I'm telling you, what I say about music, they look at me and they're like, hey, speak for yourself. Guess what we see when we look at art? I'm like, please don't tell me. Alright, I'm just listening to one of these earlier tracks about, when the king was going insane and dreaming up other universes, which sounds a lot crazier now because he's like dreamt up like 5 of them. So his plot deepens. If I were ever to characterize myself in a story, I would be the servant. Like, I'm the servant of the Dark Lord. Because serving is easier than doing. Like, it's a popular complaint I have outside of work is, God, I hate running a company. Like, I just hate being in charge. I hate being on the hook. I hate all the pressure. It's just terrible. I mean, I suppose I'm not ready to work for the man, which I would if I had to. Make me an offer I can't refuse, and hey, I won't refuse it. I'd be like, can you believe what they offered me? How can you refuse that? Not in this economy. So, just letting you know, I'm available for dating, just like my cat, just playing. But I should stop saying that because I will end up getting applied to and end up with a job on my hands. Because that's how it happens, guys. Like, you get out there, you get busy, start working towards your own ends, and someone's going to come in those ends. You're like, speak for yourself. Well, then work harder on your ends. Like, they're gonna come. It always has happened with me. Like if I was like, hey, working on my vision, they're like, oh yeah, well come work on ours, sir. Let's SC0. And from here, we're going to, something like that will do. And we'll just assign a material. You know, no need to get revolutionary here. And we're just having fun. We're UVing this kind of fast because our configure is already made for us. And we're just doing a spin on the Blender config. So I'm not really measuring efficiency as much as I'm measuring lack of handy-hurdy, because handy-hurdy is just a part of life that I will never enjoy. But you know, if you're like, yeah, I wish I was a master modeler. Hey, let me see your hand. I just break your hand, just punch your hand out. And I'm just looking at this thinking, can I do that better? Should I do that better? You know, like I said, subdivision is also affecting these a little bit. So we see that with subdivision on, they're a little, oh, it's like, how obsessive do I want to be when it comes to UVs? Because, you know, I talk to so many people and they're like, hey, I hate this part. I'm like, like a major part. And if you hate it, I mean, look, when they automate it, they're just going to full on automate it and say, get out of here, you little old human. So this piece, we're going to hit it with little hard ops bevel because we do want it to survive subdivision. Also, we'll add an edge loop here and connect these points. Let's Alt 4, we'll jump over to insolve just to make sure. And we don't want any weirdness happening, but this geometry is overlapping itself. So using our extender tools will not work because this mesh has overlapping problems that basically defeat ray casting. To get technical, let's Shift G, select normal, and now that we have that, let's X delete, and we'll just analyzing, just playing. Can't make puns, can't stop making puns on analyze. I mean, that's why you make analyze. You make analyze so you can make jokes about analyze all day. So let's Alt 4, never Alt F4, and we'll unwrap. You know, we save Alt F4 for whenever your mom walks in your room, right? Like, hey, what you doing here, Mom? Alright, so let us just unwrap UV display, and you know, not the most beautiful, but you know, for a part that just kind of came out of nowhere, like we have a saying where I live, who the fuck are you? And we're just talking about this character from Westworld. He just said it in the middle of the show. It was just so great. He was like, I think it was like season 4 whenever they replaced his body after they first escaped the park. You know, spoilers. As if the spoilers matter, the show got canceled. So, you know, most people don't actually watch shows when they get canceled. I just want you to know that I watch shows harder. Like when people hang out with me, they're like, hey, what show are we gonna watch? I'm like, yo, let me show you this canceled show, the most beautiful canceled show. And then I put on The Peripheral. Not like it's a anticlimactic result. Just that when I say, hey, this show is beautiful, I'm talking about The Peripheral. I loved The Peripheral. Like William Gibson was such a hard author to read, and I managed to endure Neuromancer Count Zero and the third book, which, if you read William Gibson, respect, because, yo, I had to reread The Peripheral and Agency twice because I just couldn't understand what he was saying. He's just too smart for me. Look, I'm not saying I read books to become intelligent. I'm reading it to try to improve myself. Like, I want to improve myself. I want to pull out ideas out of the ether that are cool. Instead of Star Wars. Star Wars with a different hat. Star Wars with a different villain, you know, because once you see it, it's unable to be unseen, you know, that the world is just so derivative that it's a part of the cancer. Like, there's like 10 different ways the world is dying of cancer, and one of them is just endless regurgitation, lack of faith, and expanding the footprint of, why is Hollywood dying? Well, it's because they only do safe routes and never push the boundaries anymore. So, there's never any movies that come out that just really just, okay. Received a comment. Sorry, I get distracted. I'm a squirrel. And this dialogue, 100% approved this morning. I'm mad, but I'm sane. I'm just really tired of this computer choking, and I don't even want to say such things out loud in this video, but I want to do the computer challenge. Like if you're out there and you're like, hey, I could build that computer. Hey, if you weren't psychotic, I'd bring you to my house and let you do it. Just let you do it because it's funny. It's funny to see everybody squirm at the build a computer challenge, because everyone thinks they can build a computer until they're asked to fix the damn USB ports. It's like, hey bro, can you fix the USB port? No, I got a flight. Literally happened to me. It's like, dude, I have a flight. Well, when? Dude, it's right now. I gotta leave. Like, dude, my USB ports are just dead then, huh? Like, yeah, you're gonna have to figure that out. I'm gonna have to just figure that out. That's like my pet peeve, is having dead USB ports on a computer. Like, in this, it's like the case with every computer I've ever had. Every computer, USB port's dead. I mean, how many USB ports are dead on your computer? Probably more than you'd like. And also, this thing was not ready. We were hacking it, guys, on this model. We get to the end, we see the finish line. We were like, hey, we're done. This revisit shows us that we weren't done. We were kind of done. We were done like, hey, I'm done. Like, I can end this recording, but not like it was done. And for this, I bet we can create something hopside that will just clean the bottoms off of things. Just literally just get those bottoms out of here. Let's Alt H just to make sure. And we're just going to unwrap UV display. And I mean, that thing looks like it works. I mean, it's not beautiful. Packmaster will have to fit things in the seams, and we may have to go in and do a revised version of these UVs. We're just speed running UVs using the UV config, which I was just making over the course of the Stellar Gun. So if you're watching that, you get to see how I made it, even though it may not be in the most clear format, but it's because we're just testing the tool. We're making our setups just on-site procurement of configurations, and with it, we're going in and we're taking out Metal Gear, and Metal Gear, hey, is built to be talked about, not taken. All right. In fact, every time Metal Gear's been defeated, it's always been boring. Like, but he always comes back, right? Because you can just put nukes on any walking robot. I mean, you can just put it on a delivery car at this point. Like, Metal Gear, in the very end, the war profiteer nations, they just would have they just would have brought the war to the. All right, I'm just looking at this, thinking, what was I doing right here? Did I mean to do that? Let's W out. And this subdivision object, we could just let this go. We could just accept this, and this is just the way things are. And it's like, yeah, I couldn't do any better. I couldn't do any better. But these sort of excuses are the things that keep me up at night, because, excuses are one of the things I seek to remove from my personal life. So I don't really accept them readily. I mean, I accept them, but my thoughts in my head are of how unacceptable this scenario is. And believe me, it happens all day, to the point it makes me mad. That's why I'm working at a time when no one's awake, because no one can, if no one's awake, no one can disappoint you. The whole world never wakes up. Just playing, just being a edgelord early in the morning. But yeah, if the world never wakes up, they'll never let you down. So I've also been addicted to Persona 3 lately. I've been trying to fight the addiction, But Wulong I think comes out today, and I'm probably still going to be playing Persona 3 because I'm now invested into the story. At first, I was thinking, man, school kids, I hate that. But now I am like, oh, it's not so bad. School is a well-contained zone, in a video game. And this is something I was thinking about when I was playing because I never really thought about it. I was like, wow, why does every RPG take place at a school? Maybe it's because they want kids to play, but these are discussions I have with my friends. It's about how a kid won't give a dang about an RPG anymore, dude, and it's so sad. Like, it is so sad. Look, I'm not trying to even front. Like, look, kids just don't care about RPGs. Um, they're like, yo, I'm trying to play a game that all my classmates are playing, which is that game. And we're just creating a little topology here. And I mean, this is way late game topology, game changing. All right, and we're just trying a little bit of redirection here just to help it hold together. I mean, I see that this is a part that I, screwed up on. All right, so if you want to say, oh yeah, MX can't model, exhibit A, fire me, fire me. All right, not playing. Hey, the only other person I think in the Blender community who basically makes me miss sleep at night, but doesn't make me miss sleep because of his lack of activity is probably Kent Trammell. When I see Kent Trammell, I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, oh wow, 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 Daddy, wow. Um, he's just so good, and he has such a good flow. I mean, and then Jonathan, like I see why Blender Market has all the superstars that they have now because look, I was a loser, and yeah, they had to let me go. So I'm nothing now. All right, so and that just happens. You get made redundant by the newer generation, and that is Jonathan. I mean, it sounds like I'm being bitter, but I'm seriously not. I'm just saying like, hey, get with the program. Like, that was a person I watched basically rise out the shadows and become like top figure in the in the Blender community. Like, he's just great. He's got a level of intelligence that, hey, I I only say that because one time he interviewed me and his response times were just nuts. Like, I mean, when I'm talking to people, I'm analyzing their response times, their ability to be fluid and dynamic, especially if I'm being scatterbrained. And if a person's able to keep up with all that and maintain focus and keep the conversation under control, especially with me, um, magic, magic. Um, that said, yeah, I would definitely interview with them once more because my fear is always to be around people who are just not informed about the tools or any of that. Because, look, if I was to be dealing with you on a tool level, talking about tools, you're darn tootin', I'm going to be reviewing the questions and making sure that it's relevant and competent. And so often I get people writing me very uninformed things just about the tools, like, hey, what'd you do to this first? Like, I did nothing because that's the easiest option. But it is very easy still to disappoint and make people mad, and to have a good understanding on a preliminary level before even having it. It just is a sign of caring. It's a sign of caring. But yeah, that's one of my favorite experiences. Because I never do live appearances. I get people who are like, yo, you want to come on this podcast? I'm like, dog, I will get canceled. I will get canceled. I'll start talking about government lizards, all right? And we want to press, we want this to be single user data. So I guess what I can do is we can just make one of these back into the properties because we do need it. And I'm just going to make it a single user, meaning that we can now apply the mirror. Let's look at that again. So the other one is a mirror that's affecting it like so. All we want to do is just unwrap, assign a material, and let's see what our UV display looks like. And it looks very throwed, but throwed isn't so bad. they are nuts after all. So this one is that one, and we want to just remove that piece of data, and we'll Control L, share their object data, and we could make a more advanced setup that does that too, and that would be like really crazy if we could share things with similar UVs. I'm just thinking out loud. And let's take this piece and back to just randomly talking about random stuff, because you guys love that, right? You love what I'm talking about. Well, all right. Well, let me no diddy. Let me come out the closet to y'all. So I pressed G last week. All right, I totally pressed G. It was after 6. No one was looking. I pressed G so hard. I was just pressing G. They're like, "What's wrong with that man in his car?" Look. Also, there's doubles here. Also, no diddy. And we are now back under control, so let's go back under inflow. And we're not trying to go back into modeling again, even though there is a time when you need to check your modeling, and we're checking it during our UVing time, the perfect time to check our UVing, especially if a supervisor's watching. Just like, hey, yeah, I'm just fixing the mesh, you know, these mistakes I added in it, my bad. We'll unwrap, we'll UV display, and we got something nice here. Let's UV display, and we're just looking at it. What do we got? Let's unwrap, UV display, and you know, that almost looks like a bug visually, but it's not. So we are really working our way through these level 1 UVs, you know, just getting quick and dirty UVs. I do love this part because, you know, just you loving the mesh. And also, you know, after this stage, this mesh is good. I mean, maybe not good to you. This mesh probably sucks, right? If you're a topo snob, in which case, good on you. Being a topo snob is a highly accomplished position in the CG industry. People need more topo snobs. People that look at topology and go, "Oh my, this is terrible. I'm telling everyone." Just playing. That's how I imagine topo snobs, though. So, because we have that good topo, right? We're able to just select seams. You know, of course, there's a guy in the comments, "Hey guys, I unwrapped this Ngon mesh very beautifully, very something." Ngons are nuts when it comes to unwrapping. I can't even front. Blender has made some improvements, which definitely has helped the Boolean boys continue further. You know, and when it comes to the Boolean boys, of course, I'm leader of the Boolean boys. The Booleanist boys on this side, never correct, never refine, never solve, just playing. We're just making fun here, pretending like the Boolean boys are a gang. A play on Squeegee Boys, which is a thing that happens in this town. One of my favorite news stories, not favorite as in like I love the news story, but it's a news story that really just lets you know about the world that we live in. Is there's an old woman who on a street corner got caught up by some squeegee boys. They, you know, squeegeed her window. If you don't know what that is, like basically in America, if you don't have a job, there's a job where you can jump on windows and squeegee cars. And people don't want to do that because obviously no one wants to see a man jump on the hood of their car. But yeah, it's a thing here. And someone had basically got inundated by squeegee boys because they were like, "Hey, where is the money for us squeegeeing your window?" And this being a little old lady, she hands them her phone. And because she hands them her phone, they went in and they're like, "Yo, you know how much money I need? $9,999. I mean, come on. Of course you do." And as a result, you know, she basically wiped herself out financially. Well, this is where the story gets more interesting. Is her son goes down there furious at squeegee boys. Obviously, you know, squeegee boys rip off your mother. Also, we must take care of our elderly parents. They don't stand a chance now, especially with AI now calling and making the threats. Let's try this again. We're just making sure that we are able to UV this thing proper, and We unwrap UV display, and we got something like that, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but that part I'm not the biggest fan of. So we are just moving through it. Now we have this piece. This piece is one piece. It's a pieceling, all right? So let's grab this, mark it. We do the same thing here. And I'm already thinking about multi-seam grabbing and marking with this. Like, configurations beget configurations, which is why I look forward to the part when we get to just only refine configuration, because it is so important, and I feel like it will be talked about forever, and there's no tool in our repertoire that allows that, to allow spirited discussions about the nuance of default configuration. Because, you know, when defaults are defaulting, they're defaulting good. It's everyone's defaulting. Everybody was default fighting. You know, those cats were fast as lightning. All right, so here we're going to apply to radial. We're going to apply to weld, and let us unwrap UV display, and we get something like that. Looks like something Sonic the Hedgehog would run from, or you'd use to buzz cut zombies. Either one will do, depending on what level of universe you're from. From that zombie universe, that George Romero, which I love those movies. I try to share my tastes and things through my sense of humor in these videos. You know, there's a line in Peacemaker where Mern's like, hey, what I just said to you is so that we can have a human relationship. Do you feel more connected to me? He's like, yeah. He's like, good. I feel like that all the time. Like, I'm Mern. I love Mern from Peacemaker. Peacemaker was so great. I watched that show over and over. I'm still tripping out that my woman was like, hey, this is your favorite wrestler? I was like, favorite wrestler? I don't watch wrestling. Those are fighting words, all right? When you start saying stuff like that, it's like, hey, are you telling your friends that? Because I do not want your friends to be thinking that I'm into the old wrestling. All right, so now we have this thing UV. So we're one step closer. We're one step closer. This was a lot of parts of UV. We had to solve a few things, just a little bit of solving. And, you know, we look at this thing, and it's like, hey, are these UVs you can show off? Are you sure about that, is what John Cena would say. Are you sure about that? No, I'm playing. For some reason, repeating it made it funnier. But it could be because it's so early in the morning, so I will refrain. I apologize. I'll write a memo about that later. Let's mark the seam, and, you know, we almost accepted what we're getting here, but we probably do want some breaks in our shape. So let's select this and look at it, and this is that piece. I don't like how it unfolded like that, but, you know, and there used to be things I used to do back in the day to try to get that to be more particular, but I'm all old now, so I'm like old snake, and as a result, old snake don't be snaking like that. Let's look at that. Alright, so this particular piece didn't split open. Or actually it did. We'll try it again. So now we'll unwrap UV display, and something like that is more acceptable. Except, let's say we really wanted it to work out. Let's say we really, really, really want it to work out. I mean, really, if we want to get technical, half of this mesh ain't even going to be showing. And the only reason it would show is if we make the elevator thingy spin. So let's select everything, unwrap, UV display, and we're still looking at unacceptable results, or at least to me. Let's UV display, and that's a little bit better. You know, just if we're going to have the camera rotating around it at the end, we can't have it rotating showing us nightmares. Alright, so for this piece, let's bring it in here, and we're just going to clear seam. I love being able to just kind of default back to Blender isms. It's just a comfort food. And every time I have to jump back into face, I miss inflow. That drop off is to die for. Not even tooting my own horn. I'm just saying I love being able to drop off. Like not even me selling the tool, just the drop off state of being able to have like selection drop you off in face mode, which simplifies you being able to jump into isolation mode. Look, if you're a beginner, do it manually, okay? Do it manually. You got to do it manually for like 10,000 years in the wasteland, all right? And it will feel so good when you come in. You'll be like, wow, there's a better way. But you won't be able to appreciate that better way if you never explore the not better way. So let's unwrap. And I really don't like the textile density. Like, I want it to be all equalized, which is where some of my favorite UV tools come in, but we don't have access to them just yet. So what we'll do is Alt-V. We'll get out of solid texture mode. And, you know, let's Alt-V. We'll jump over to render. But I don't think we've ever jumped over to render from here. In fact, we always do it from here. Looks like we may need to add some viewport options there, along with you know, world options, but that's a talk for another day. But here we are now just looking at our level 1 UVs. We just quickly just got in here, dropped some UVs, 51 minutes, hopefully less cringy dialogue. Still early in the morning. I can go work out, but really at this point I should probably just feed the cats. Or I can go work out and let the cats be doomed, which is also my favorite thing, because they'll be so grateful when I return. They're like, hey, you were talking about food 2 days ago? It's like, yeah, it was. So this video brought to you by Fancy Fees. It's all my cats eat, and they look me in the eye to tell me that they want it. And also, let's look at this, right? Because UVs overlapping like that won't do. Like, that just doesn't look like it's going to work. So you know what I'm going to do is put a displace on it and roll the wheel backwards once, so I'm on normal. And we'll just push it ever so slightly. You know, not my favorite solution, but you know, that is what I feel displace was there for. Except that, you know, that's not what displace is there for. But hey, they have a normal option. Why not use it to fight a little Z fighting? In fact, I see that we probably could push it just a little bit more. And now we're done. So yesterday I was trying to be off, so what that means is that I was trying to watch Watchmen on TV. You know, DC has their animated Watchmen, and I got so mad at my woman. She was like, hey, this is like the Zack Snyder version, and I'll watch it, and it's literally the film accurate comic version. I was like, listen, you can't credit Watchmen to Zack Snyder. That is so cruel and messed up, and you like basically told me to dismiss the show because of your dislike of Zack Snyder. And this show is lovely and brilliant and kind of stiff in its drawing, but you know, Marvel is kind of like that too. It's this CG animation. They're just so stiff now. I just don't get it. But the show was great. I mean, I love Watchmen. I love the story of Watchmen. I love that world. It's just so dystopian. And yeah, I just got so mad. I was like, you said Zack Snyder and then you skipped over it. It's like, no, this is not Zack Snyder. Don't ever mention Zack Snyder. Look, first of all, the version that he did, still great. I love that version. But come on. It was not Zack Snyder's Watchmen that we watched. It was a great version. So just saying, if you're watching things on TV today, check out that HBO's Watchmen. It was a good watch. One movie. So real short. You just get in, get out. It's great. So, and speaking of getting in and getting out, I will end this video here. And then when I come back, we will refine these UVs further. So I thank everyone for watching. Good morning, good evening, and in case I don't see you, good night. Is that what Truman said? I'll have to rewatch The Truman Show, which is one of my favorite movies, for real. It's like that part where the bus driver grinds the bus and destroys the bus. Literally my favorite part in cinema history. He looks Truman in the face, he's like, can't do it, buddy. And Truman's just, he makes the face that I make in life. Just, what? What is this? Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm just talking excessively. And if I'm going to talk excessively, I might as well do a little bit of perusing around the UVs, just so that way we have something to showcase at the end. When I'm like, hey guys, what did you do in today's video? I did this. I UV'd like a UV master, except I'm not a UV master. I'm like a UV bastard. You know, like whoever fathered me in UVs won't own me. So I'm a UV bastard. But I will get better someday. And the goal is to have people say, like, hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing this, you should be doing this, because that will form what is the meta of this particular workflow. But I do enjoy the dialogue of people being spirited when they say, this is how you should work, this is how you should work. We deal with that in our lives, where people tell us how we should live, how we should think, how we should be. But in modeling, when people are telling us how we should do things and how the industry standard practices are, then it's a discussion a lot easier to listen to and be a part of, because it's not dominating us as humans, tearing us down. It's just telling us how we can be better artists and serve our hypothetical masters better, which are the people who actually need our services in 3D. So I'm just ranting at this point as I go around the model, but seeing all the UVs like this, just beautiful. I love it. I just love it. And with that, I will wrap this video, and I will see you guys next time.
Satisfying your skills at $20 with price to entice. Groove with these tools, don't think twice. The heavens for the sky above, for clouds the sun and warmth we love. Every day's a chance to blend, fight the inevitable to the very end. Try us out, feel the allure. A tool so great, it feels so pure. Customize, streamline, and flow. With these tools, let the passion show. Where the magic begins. Tools so sweet, caressing your sins. Blend every day, savor the end. With these tools, let your art transcend. Let's blend and fight in the warmth of day, in the calm of night. Every tool, every atom, every way. Don't wait, embrace the blend to